Patanjali this year 4%. When it went public, it was like the rage tha pure market ka. And then Bata and Patanjali, they both have not done rather well. Sandip Sabharwal has been buying Bata shoes, he's been buying Bata stocks, and everything in life for him right now is Bata and VIP. Right, Sandip?
Not everything, but I think I have been buying them, yes, for sure.
Both shoes
Because
and
I
the
think
stock.
the stock, yes, and the shoe I'm not buying.
हाँ sorry, I forgot.
But
You are the ultra luxury Mercedes लेते हैं हम तो. Sorry, भूल गए थे. I stand corrected. Bata stock is what you're buying. That is the right thing, right?
yeah, but I'm buying and VIP we bought, and I think still think it's in value zone. I think VIP will be more transformational because there it was just about the management focus not being there, and that's why, and it's still a very strong brand. And I think as the management focus has come back, we will see a significant transformation. So I think this is really a dark horse. Bata has been a part of the entire discretionary spending cut, a part of and those companies where we've seen apparel companies, footwear companies, and many other discretionary segments having had cuts over the last 2 3 years. Now, the volume growth in footwear has been couple of percent or in some segments negative also for the last 3 years. Now, ultimately, footwear has to be replaced. Now, unless and until we believe that their market share is getting eaten up by some other competitors, which is unlikely because with the new BIS norms, etc., the unorganized players and also cheap imports from China will actually get impacted. Ultimately, we'll see a bounce back in volume growth since the economy continues to do well. So I think many of these companies you can buy at good prices when the news is not good. So I think that's my theorem in these.
No news in Geo Financial, Sandip Sabharwal, but the stock has just gone from, I mean, it's like a wild move last week. 310, 315. There is no news. Nobody has a specific view, but the stock's gone from 250 to 350, blink of an eye, and what a real deal rally it's been. Sandeep, Geo.
I have no idea what's going on, and so it's on the sidelines for me. It's not on my screens. Also, I don't monitor the price because I just read it in the papers or on ET now. I see that the price has moved up so much because I don't know what's happening.
Uh, what is your view on ultra luxury? I mean, a Etheos or a Landmark, these categories have done rather well for themselves. Is it time, let's say, now to sell that Landmark and buy into Bata? Is it time now to, let's say, sell a Trent and, let's say, buy a VIP? I mean, is it time to simply flip? Ulta kar do.
For people who have limited capital, it could be a good trade. They can make money out of that. Uh, but the flip side of that is that on the luxury side, since India's per capita GDP is only going to increase, so I think the prosperous segment, the people who are willing to buy more, who are willing to pay more for brands or for somewhat better quality, is also going to keep on increasing. So one thing is that the lower middle class moves to the middle class, which is a bigger segment. So as that happens, I think we'll see even bottom of the pyramid do much better. But I think on the other hand, the move of middle class to upper middle class or the rich class, because there the consumption overall is still so low that the percentages increases will be much higher. So I think both segments have their independent stories. Now, all of it then becomes a relative play on valuation and how much money you have to invest in new stocks.
Shifting focus and talking about, Sandeep, about the power supply chain. The generators have already run up. The industrials too largely have run up. Is there any part of the value chain which you think has some more rooms, some more legs to go for the rally? Because today, of course, I was looking at the newsmakers, skipper, transformer rectifiers, they've bagged decent amount of orders from Power Grid as well.
Yeah, I think the story is still on. The power generators has moved up, but that's a space I would not play now because power generation and selling power at profitable rates has always been an issue in India, given the politics around it and the pricing segments. So a lot of reforms have happened there, but I think still their risk remains, especially companies investing huge amounts in solar. The way solar panel prices have crashed, ultimately they are straddled with assets which they invested at a much higher price, which are valued much lower. So I think that's one segment we have to see. But transformers as well as the transmission companies, uh, I think both these segments will do very well because and on the storage side also, because ultimately green energy will need to be stored, because the kind of investments which are happening, green energy has to be stored. So some of the battery companies, etc., will also do well, because without storage, then it will become an issue, because the peak trough uh, trends of power consumption keep on varying. So I think the transformer side, the transmission side, as well as storage, I think these segments still remain strong, along with the metering companies also, because and the kind of orderings which are happening on metering also are very substantial.
Okay,
Sandeep, where do you think markets are headed in the run up to the election? I mean, frankly, the election outcome really does not matter. But the fact that it does not matter also will comfort the bulls that there is no event risk. But index per se, can it go to 24,000 in an in and around 25,000 in the run up to the election till May? Sandeep?
I would say it's a low probability event, but if it happens, it increases the risk for investors significantly, because such sharp run-ups, when valuations are also running a bit high on the higher side, are not in the interest of long-term investors. So I would say it's a low probability event, given that especially also that globally also markets look overstretched, and we could see some sell-off at some stage globally. So in India, the correction will be triggered by any global correction only. So I think standalone, it's tough to. I don't think it's realistic to say that India will suddenly start correcting if globally there is no correction. So globally also, I think all sentiment indicators, everything is so bullish all over now, that some correction will be imminent at some stage. Now, I had thought that we should have seen the correction in Jan Feb, but we started some sort of correction. It didn't follow through, and the markets actually bounced back. So let's see when it happens.
Okay, so let's see when that correction does happen. But Sandeep, have you had a look at JSW infrastructure? I mean, this business has been doing quite well. We have seen the way Dani also has managed to scale up their ports business, and their JSW infrastructure is also making the right noises in terms of the acquisitions. Today as well, there is a news report talking about how in Tamil Nadu they are likely to get the letter of award for one of the one of the bulk cargo belts as well. What's your view on JSW infrastructure?
Yeah, JSW Infrastructure is a good company. I've studied it. I haven't ended up investing in it, but I think it's pretty well placed in all the businesses it is doing. So we need to track it and buy at some stage, possibly if we get reasonable valuations. Post listing, it's not really given too much opportunity to buy.
Okay, so is valuation the only impediment for you to buy that? What level you said you will buy it at?
Level prediction is very tough, but I think on a reasonable correction. Right now, it looks stretched valuation.
Sandeep, always good to have you on the show. We let you go on that note. Let